Hello, slots enthusiasts. How are you? I'm John Friedel. Welcome to Professor Slots, a channel where you can learn to play slots smarter and leave the casino with your winnings. It's great to see you all here again for another weekly live stream where I review slots-related topics of interest to slots enthusiasts. If you're with us live, be sure to say hello and ask your slots-related questions. I'll check in with the live chat a little later in the show. Oh, and special thanks to Paula for being our moderator today. Thanks, Paula. Pre-orders are available for my first online course, 30 Days to Play Slots Smarter and Win. It can be completed at a leisurely pace of one lesson per day, or if you want to be less leisurely, a whole lot faster. Some assignments and concepts may need time to consider, but yes, it can be completed in a day, if a rather long day. Thanks already to those of you who have signed up for my 30-day course. This online course is a beta test version, discounted over 50% off its regular price. Further, I'm pre-selling it to gauge interest. Thankfully, there's been a lot of interest. The course will launch on Friday, May 7th at 8 a.m. Along with the course are valuable options, especially getting lifetime access to the course. Purchasing this pre-launch beta version now at 100% off gives full access to the non-beta improved versions later. The link for signing up for the course is in the description of this video, or if you're listening in the podcast, in this episode's show notes. So let me show you the course sign-up page. And I'll also drop in the link to the live chat, if it is working, maybe. Maybe if I use the right keyboard. Not that. By the way, there are going to be technical difficulties today. I'm trying several new things. Maybe the day will come when I don't. Be careful clicking that link in the live chat. It'll take you out of the live stream, and you don't want to do that just yet. So let me share this screen. And yeah, there will be technical difficulties. I already know it's going to happen in about half an hour, but we'll get through it. It'll be fine. I have a workaround, like any good engineer. So this is the live. This is the page where you go to sign up. I put the link in the live chat. It's in the description. It's in the show notes for the podcast later, when you're listening later or watching later. And so I'm showing it now. The green button, some people have had a bit of an issue with this on a phone. Look for the green buttons with the white lettering, and that's where you go to actually purchase it. And the course launches in 12 days, only 12 days. Why am I having a live stream today? We might not have one next week. 12 days left. But what you'll learn is my methodologies, including having an improved observation, what to look for. And then there's the casinos, been working long and hard on us for many years. And with this course, we're getting started with kind of responding to that. So I'll talk about some of the manipulation that the casino is trying on you, in the hope that understanding what they're trying to do is going to help you resist it, because they're not really your friend. But they do, the good ones try to be, good customer service. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit here, show you the course curriculum. This is a little bit different from what you might have seen last week, because I've been working hard. And so these are all the chapters. There's an introduction, there's a bit on the end, and then chapter 7 is bonuses. I try to use 7 as much as possible. But if you were to expand on, say, this first one here, you'll see what's under this chapter. So Thinkific, which is what I'm using, calls every entry a lesson, and there's 128. But a lot of them are just links to articles and whatnot. So each day we'll have, each day of the 30 days will be basically a video, an introduction, a video on that topic for that day, and a few things for you to go check out, and links and other information, resources, and also some tasks, checklists, that sort of thing. So while it may seem like 128 lessons are a lot, and it may not end up being exactly that number, there will be it'll go fast, and I'll talk about that in a bit. So you can feel free to scan through this, and first steps to improvement, and there's several days here. This is how I'm ending the course, and so feel free to browse through that. It's much more expanded than it was. Then there's a brief intro, pricing options. The cost will go up, and I'll talk a little bit about that. And then you get some course bonuses, like you get the PDF version of my book, Learning to Win, not the hard copy, but the PDF, and then you get the gambling records template, because you'll need those, or you can do your own. And then, of course, lifetime access. And so sort of pulling back from that a little bit, I wanted to show you that. And there's still plenty of time for me to get ready for launching, but I'm excited to being able to make this self-led online course for slots enthusiasts available to you. So we have a few donations. We have a donation from Chuck. And technical difficulty of that being far too loud. I'm not going to count. I'm not going to keep track. We have more coming. You can watch me get red in the face and sweat a little bit today. Right. So thank you, Chuck, so much for the donation. It is very much appreciated. You've given a lot, and I think almost every live stream, certainly all the ones you've been at, and it is much appreciated in support of the show. Thank you. Okay, so where were we? In today's topic, we're diving into publicly available return to player statistics at Indiana's commercial casinos. Also, and I think you'll find this as interesting as I did, one big reason I'm doing these analyses right from the start of these state return statistics is to compare different states. I've already done, first I did Florida, not all of them, the commercial ones that have return statistics available online, those in Broward County and Miami-Dade County. The commercial casinos in those two counties, and then did Mississippi, then New Jersey, and now our fourth, Indiana. And now I'm starting to see some trends, and that's really what I was hoping to see, or at least document. How does New Jersey compare to Mississippi, to Florida, to Indiana? And I think you'll find that pretty interesting, as a little eye-opening for me. Right. So all U.S. casinos closed for months in 2020. Loss of revenue from being closed caused some of them to never reopen. A big concern for Indiana slots enthusiasts and others is if casinos have reduced their return to player, and if they did, have they stopped doing it yet? And I've lost video, which is odd. And should come back, I hope. There it is. My apologies for the loss of video. I think we're going to have that problem a lot today. Right. So a big concern of Indiana slots enthusiasts and others was having to do with, is return to player, has it been reduced by the casinos? And if it did, have they stopped yet? So we're going to look closely at Indiana slots return to player return statistics. Every U.S. casino closed in 2020 due to the global pandemic. These 989 casinos at the time closed quickly and reopened slowly, if ever. At least 100 casinos have yet to reopen and may never do so. It's hard to keep an accurate count because there are some casinos that are opening. And so, did the ones that were closed open, or was it a new casino? And I'm not digging into that quite so much, but it's about 100 that closed. About 10% of them closed and have not reopened. The pandemic has been tough on casinos. There's no doubt abrupt closures financially hurt the U.S. gaming industry. Their financial woes continued after reopening due to social distancing, often resulting in a 50% reduction of available slot machines. When my large audience of slots enthusiasts started returning to casinos, they reported tight slot machine gameplay. But for the most part, slots players shrugged and said, well, that's understandable. We were just glad casinos were able to reopen. But 1 month turned into 6 months, and 6 months turned into a year. Eventually, slots enthusiasts began to ask casinos, are you done yet? So let's check Indiana Gaming Control Board's return statistics to see what's what. Indiana has 14 commercial casinos. Just give you an overview. Indiana has 14 commercial casinos, including 2 proposed casinos and 1 American Indian tribal casinos. Indiana's 1851 Constitution banned lotteries, historically interpreted by courts to mean all gambling. In 1988, Indiana approved a constitutional amendment removing this ban within months. Oh boy, this is going to be interesting. And we're back, I think. If this keeps up, I will, and I do apologize, I will switch to a different camera. Probably should do that before too long. Let's see. Okay, well, at least we won't lose each other this time. Okay. Apologize for the mess ups, but we'll be fine. Not normally a view that I give you, but at least it's a stable view. So right, and that means I need to come back over here and do this. Right. And where was I? Thank you, Magpie, Magpie 11. I am sorry that you missed last week as well. It's great to see the regulars, but things do happen, family stuff and others, and family's more important. So no worries there. Right. So technical difficulties. I did warn you. Hopefully, I've put a halt to that one, and we'll see what else comes up. But thank you, Magpie, very much. And I didn't show Chuck's, but I should have showed Chuck's. And Chuck is here, and he says morning. And Magpie is here, and she says, sorry, I missed last week. So these are super chats, and if I get a moment, I might share how to put those in. But it's basically a donation at the bottom of the live chat if you're here live. Okay, so not the best view, sorry. I tested the new camera and everything, and it didn't hold up this time, but that's okay. So I was saying in 2007, right? In 2007, Indiana allowed horse tracks, and they allowed to have horse tracks with as many as 2,000 electronic gaming machines. Further, the state legislature approved land-based casinos in 2015 and allowed riverboat casinos to move into a land-based casino facility if it's located on its current property. So the riverboat casinos are becoming non-riverboat casinos if they have the land to put the facility on. And that was 2015, and it takes a couple of years to build these facilities, not to mention budget it, and I think a few of them have started to do so. So the state of Indiana has a federally recognized, and if they have, then they are able to have a central server because they can't do that in the riverboat facility, but they can do that on a land-based facility. That means a lot of the strategies that I talk about, they require having a central server, and that means those strategies, those advantage plays become available. Okay. The state of Indiana has one federally recognized American Indian tribe. In 2015, Pokagon Band of Potawatomi Indians successfully negotiated a tribal state gaming compact, subsequently approved by the U.S. Department of Interior. By the compact's terms, the tribal casino could only have Class II bingo-style gaming machines. In 2018, the tribe opened a casino in South Bend. It's one of the 4 wins in that particular area. The Indiana Gaming Commission, IGC, regulates commercial gaming in Indiana. The IGC has its gaming control division as a law enforcement arm with a primary goal to investigate illegal gambling. Enforcement of illegal gambling at bars and taverns is by the Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission. Indiana has 14 commercial casinos, and I think I have a picture here somewhere. And I could complain. I'm really tired. Been working on the getting ready for the launch of the course, and it's been a lot of fun, but it's also a little bit tiring. So everything's not getting triple and quadruple checked. So let me show you this, which is a map. Put that away. Which is a map of Indiana's casinos. So they have, and one of them is tribal. So there is 14 casinos, including 2 that are proposed in Terre Haute and Gary, Indiana. And you can see that. And Indiana's tribal casino is Four Winds Casino South Bend, 150 miles north of Indianapolis, directly east of Chicago on the border to Michigan. It offers 1,800 Class II competition-style gaming machines alongside live poker tables. Unique to Indiana, the table game of poker is a skill-based game and therefore just another Class II game, as players bet against each other and are betting against the house or casino. So this is one of those little details that the state gets to decide on. Okay. IGC, the Indiana Gaming Control Board, Commission, offers comprehensive and annual reports of all aspects of legal gaming in Indiana. So I will show you what that looks like, but first let me kind of explain. So the casino hold percent for each casino, commercial casino, is win divided by coin in. And so they provide those 2 numbers by casino by month. And if you're probably most interested in, I try to consistently use not the casino hold percent, but the player win percent. So you subtract win divided by coin in, which is how much people spend, but win is how much they win. And you divide that, but you subtract it from 1 or 100%, and you'll get then the player win percent, which is probably what you're most familiar with. Indiana, and I'll show you what that looks like. Indiana has a couple of different ways they provide the information: a PDF, an Excel spreadsheet, HTML, and then they have these annual reports, PDFs, which has sort of the annual information, but not the monthly information. And they've changed their format for those Excel spreadsheets and the HTML and the PDFs. They changed their formats 3 times since beginning of 2019. So one of the things they got rid of about the middle of 2019, and I know some of you are going to be very disappointed about this, but in the middle of 2019, they got rid of having monthly returns by slot machine denomination by casino. I don't know why not. Why did they do that? But they did. And so that's gone now. And it was pretty useful at the time. Paula, there's no reason to even say goodbye. Right. So let me pull this down and show you. This is my website. And if you were to click on these state by state, you would see a summary article and you can go to your state. But I've already found Indiana slot machine casino gambling. This is where my review article and some of the words that I used a moment ago. It's standard format for every state. I've been working on them for like 4 years as an online resource. And so you can see a list of the casinos or websites. And I do this yearly, actually about every 13 months. And there's a section down just before the summary called Payout and Returns. And I went over this in December when I wrote this article in January, when I last wrote this article, updated it. But if you go to IGT, you have this indiana.gov, in.gov site, and the Indiana Gaming Commission link is here. And under publications, you can find annual reports. And here they'll show 2021. And I think this is great because Louisiana has posts on March 12th, April 12th, 12 days ago for March. And as some of you know, like Louisiana doesn't post, I think January just came out. And so, they're 3 months behind. Ohio, I think, is something very similar to that. Maybe 4 months, something like that. It's just a while. And right. And so if you go down to the archived reports here, if you were to click on the archived reports, it's interesting. They go back all the way to 1996. One of the things I want to do at some point is basically do what I'm doing for 2019, 2020, and 2021, so we can have 2019 as a baseline to compare to 2020. And I'd like to go back to 1996, all the way back each year, and just see what the trends are sort of for gambling for the last 25 years. And there's a few states where you can do that, where they have consistent return statistics. And people say, well, when 25 years ago was a lot better. Well, let's just see about that. But that's another topic for another time, and also probably quite a bit of work. So if you were to click on the 2020 reports here, then you would get, there's also this other button over here under publications called annual reports. And this is the annual report. It gives an annual summary. It talks a lot about taxes and where the money goes and that sort of thing. And we won't get into that. What I want to show you is if we go to, let's say, here, this is March 2021 revenue report for each casino separately. And these are, each casino, they're also kind of divided up sometimes, depending on how this goes, into its, divided up into slots versus sports betting, and also table games. And I'm going to kind of avoid all of that, skip over that. How many table games they have, table win, number of slot machines, each casino for this month. And there's also year to date on the same thing. And then you get down to table games, which game, how many, which casinos. And they sort of divide the state up into northern, and I think it's central and southern. Southern, and what's the other one? Other. Yeah, northern, southern, and other, which sort of makes sense if you look at this, kind of the northern and the southern. Anyway, so we keep on scrolling until we get to the third to the last page, I think it is. More stuff on each of the different regions of the state. That's about the only time they ever use it. But then we get to this page, which is northern, southern, and then other, which are basically the racinos. And you can take the coin in and rather take the win, the amount that players won, and divide it by coin in, take that and subtract it from 100%, and you can get what the win percent was for March 2021 for Ameristar Casino with its 971 slot machines. So I did that. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So what is that? 13 times 12 times 3 years? No, 2 years. 12 times. Yeah, 2. So I did that 315 times. March, January, February, March as well. Uh, uh, Something like that. A little bit more than that. Anyway, um, and so now I'm going to thrill you with a bunch of data. So this is each of the casinos in alphabetical order. I also have a total at the end because we'll need that later. Then this is coin in, and I started from January 2019, and I went all the way to the most recent one, March 2021. The two rows that are blank here, this is when the casinos were fully closed for that month, but they were also partially closed for March and June. If you saw my other presentations on Florida, Mississippi, and New Jersey, you kind of recognize this format. I'm trying to be very similar. But then there's also the amount won, not just how much people bet, but how much they won and got back. And these numbers are here in dollar amounts. So most of these are in the tens of millions. Right. So I take this and I divide it by that, and I multiply it by 100% or subtract it from 100%, and I get this. All right. So that's the mechanics of it. And what I want to do now is show you the results, which is, okay, let's see if we can do it this way. I recognize some of you are on phones, so I want to make sure I make this as big as possible, kind of fill the screen, and that should work out fairly well right there. This is Indiana. The colors hopefully come across. If you've seen my other presentations, I did something very similar. The win percent is over here on the side. It ranges from about 89% to 92.5%, a little bit less than just over 92%. That's the range of all the casinos in Indiana since the beginning of 2019. You can see the gap, which is when the 2 full months when they were closed. What was it? May and June? No. Yes. April and May. And what's interesting here is you can see, and we saw this in Florida and Mississippi and New Jersey, some casinos have a great return. It's the highest return of other casinos. And then some are lower. And then you got some weird behavior, which would include what happened after they were closed, but also kind of before all this. This is Rising Star, and in 1 month, in October 2019, they dropped almost the full range of the spread of player win percent range, and I wonder why. Did they have an event? Did they have a cash crunch? Did they have something happen? This is the sort of thing you want to watch for. Not really part of our investigation right now, but it is obvious something happened. But that was October 2019, so we'll move past that. But then you see the behavior right before everybody closed. I mean, in March, they were partially open. They weren't closed the full month, but they were closed some portion of it. And so if you look at Tropicana, which consistently might say kind of is the lowest month to month, they just dropped it to not quite the lowest. And then when they reopened, that was what Majestic Star did. Majestic Star 2, it's like I said, Riverboat Casino. They also have a Majestic Star. I think it's the original, and Majestic Star 2 is the second one. Anyway, we had that drop just beforehand. Now, I've talked about this before, and you can pick out your casino, and we can kind of select them carefully if you want to. But what I did was I took the state average. That's why I had that total column that I showed you. So this is remarkable. It's remarkable because it doesn't show much. All right. They were consistent in 2019. This is why I did 2019, because I wanted to get the baseline. Remember the variability we saw in New Jersey? And this is robust. This is like we hit our numbers. All the casinos hit their numbers to make this average. They're just doing the job. They're doing the casino business, and they're very consistent. But then started getting a hiccup in maybe January, then in February, and then I guess they tried to, as a group, kind of recover. You can sort of see that here, where there's a lot of ups right there in March. Probably trying to get people to come in during a pandemic. It's in the data. Or maybe people wanted to go to the casino because they knew it would be closed for a while. Whatever the reason, whether it was a casino or the slots players or both, there was an uptick after 4 months of drops. And but then we have this gap, and then they came back. And if you look at if you consider this kind of collection here, right along the 90.5% line, they don't even approach 90.5 here. And this is they came back in June, and also last month they had even lower when they came in. And last month it's been going down for the last 4 months since what is it, 90.3 here. And so December, January, February, March, it's been slowly ticking down. And this is the lowest it's been in 2 years, 2 years and 3 months, 27 months. It's the lowest. See, it's the lowest. State average. Now, some casinos are trying to do well. For instance, look at that. French Lick, which I would call them kind of like sometimes they're first, sometimes they're second in 2019, but then they came back high. And I like the character of a casino that shows that, but they have started to dip after that. I mean, basically, they maintained and all the others dropped after the pandemic. And you can see that. So one thing I wanted to talk about with you is we had this graph for Florida, commercial casinos in Miami-Dade and Broward counties, Mississippi, and New Jersey. I wouldn't want to put in all those graphs to make this even more busy, but we do have this total, statewide total. So here they are. Take a moment and look at that. This is the player win percentage totals for 4 states. And eventually we're going to have like 18 of these as I work my way through the other states that have monthly return statistics for their slots. You may remember from my Florida presentation, my first one, I didn't go back to 2019. I only realized afterwards that I needed to have a baseline to compare it to. So I only have for Florida 2020. And that was a couple months ago, so it ends in December, and it wasn't even January. But you can see kind of there's a whole video on that we talked about, and there's an article out there on my website you can look at. But it's up here. I'll just say it's up here. And then you have Mississippi, which we did next, and we saw that there was a lot of back and forth, but then they dropped before they closed, and then they've been more or less climbing ever since. A couple of hiccups here, but they've been basically climbing in returns. Whole video on that, including an article. And then we've got, let's see, New Jersey, which I thought they were kind of like taking your money. They're particularly since they've been dropping the last 4 months, and we hadn't seen that before. It was kind of steady for Florida but rising in Mississippi. But then we had New Jersey, the gray here, where it's dropped the last 4 months, and it was lower than almost anything else that had been done in the previous, since beginning in 2019. But then we got Indiana. Look at Indiana. It's lower than New Jersey. Eesh. And in the last 4 months, they're dropping as well. Out of the 18 or so states that have return statistics, I wonder how many we're going to see like that. And that's the point. That's why I'm doing all this, not just to tell you about your state, but try to look at these, it's only 4. Is it a national trend yet? Maybe, we'll see. Kind of ominous, particularly, I should go back and fill in the most recent returns for Mississippi and for Florida and see if they're trending down like everybody else, because, you need to know this stuff. And we'll see if it's the national trend. I'll get a few more of these under my belt. I'm not doing them every week. Otherwise, we're all going to get like spreadsheet, whatever. And I think I can show that as soon as it shows up on my screen. There it is. Okay. Noel, thank you. My favorite professor, great information, he says. Thank you. Noel gave a $5 denomination, $5, I'm still thinking about denominations, $5 donation. Thank you so much. Right. And so, this is sort of like some of the stuff in the online course that I wanted to tell you about. There's a few things going on here that are leading to something, and we shall see where it takes us. Yeah. Right. So, kind of winging some of this today. I think that's about it. Indiana has no theoretical payout limits, but they do have these return statistics by month and by casino. The tribal casino doesn't have return statistics, nor does it have a theoretical payout limits. So let's jump into the chat and for a moment, and I will see how we're doing. Just scrolling back, you guys have been pretty busy, I see. Let me see if I can spot any questions. If you are a member of my YouTube channel, I will scan through the live chat and look for any questions from you, because you're paying customers. And if you gave a donation, I try to jump on those right away and answer any questions that are asked there. So if you want to jump to the top of the list, you know what you need to do. Okay, so questions. Right. The Sands, Kissy Cat says the Sands is advertising for Texas to get casinos. And we talked about that last time. That'll ever work. We talked about that a little bit last time. There is a few precedents going on. And let's see, I'll show that, and I'll stop sharing that. Okay. We talked a little bit about that last time. I couldn't tell you where in the hour-long presentation that was at, but we thought, I talked a little bit about how there's a federal act that predates the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act by about a year, which it takes legal precedent, and that's been used to halt any tribal casinos in Texas. But commercial casinos are possible. The tribal casinos, you'd think they'd be able to make that happen since 1989. So that's pretty good data for not having tribal casinos in Texas that have Class 3 slot machines. Those that are open, the two that are open have Class 2. So commercial casinos might have a shot, but let's move on from there. I think I saw a question here from Carrie. What is your quick spin method that Kissy Cat is talking about? It's one of my most popular videos. If you, let's see how to get that to you. Go to my YouTube channel, and it'll be the one that's right in the front. You can also go to down to the playlist, and it's winning strategy number 1. It's called the 5 spin method, sometimes called the 5 pull method, also called only win immediately. There's 2 videos. If you play the first one, the second one will start afterwards, which is, the first one is, what is it? And the second one is, how do you test it cheaply? Many people were telling me, and I was getting a little bit worried for people. They were like, well, I'm just going to go to the high limits room and bet maximum. And I'm like, maybe check first to see if it works at that casino on like a nickel machine or minimum bet on a penny machine. Turns out minimum bet on a penny machine is more than a nickel machine, and more than a quarter machine even. I think the minimum I've found is like 30 cents each. So there's cheaper ways to test it before you go on. Maybe you got that answer already. Right. Next questions. Yep. AK summed it up. I made an 8-minute video, but AK says 5 spins and go on to another machine, win or lose. Right. Okay. So, and Michael says, I brought a $500 to Ameristar in East Chicago, Indiana yesterday. I primarily used the 5-pull method in $5 denominations. I cycled through the bankroll, but ended up losing 75% of it before leaving. Yeah, that's why I have put together a second video about doing the same thing, only on not high limit, low limit. Oh, and I think I just saw, did I see something? Can you hear that? Can you hear my cat snoring? And okay, so there is a second donation from Nahal. Can a tribal casino have a central computer system? Absolutely. People think that tribal casinos are different from commercial casinos, and the gaming rigs are, but the more it's run like a business, the more money the casino makes. So yeah, absolutely. Now, there are tribal casinos which are in a convenience store. Sometimes they're called casinos. So the requirement, commercial or tribal or Australia or England, is you need to have more than a few slot machines to pay for it, to pay for the central server. And what's the lower end number? 25, 30? You really have to have it, not 5, because it's just not worth it to the owner. So you have to have, and so if it's of a sufficient size, then they just scramble to get it because it's so much more worthwhile to them. It pays for itself, but not if you don't have enough slot machines. Also, riverboat casinos don't have them, but they're converting to land-based, and where they can have them, basically the floor is a hull, and you can't punch through it, otherwise you sink. And it's just muddy water, and it's a barge, but still the concept works. Right. I'm going to jump back up to where we're at. I've got a few more minutes before I wanted to show you. Was there more to show you? Oh, yeah, there's just a few minutes more to show you. I wanted to share how much money the casinos lost in Indiana, but I'll take some more of these questions. And right, where was I? All the way back up to here. Yeah, I think I answered Michael's question, which was, check cheaply. The taste that they're trying to give you is a practice, is not luck. It's not unknown to the casino. The casino paid for that service to be installed on their slot machines. So they have it on all slot machines because that's only fair, or they don't have it. So if they have it, it's on all slot machines. If they don't have it, it's on no slot machines. And what you want to do is then check on cheap machines before you run off to the high limit room. And that's something I didn't make clear the first time I posted that video 2 years ago. And so when I posted it again a year ago, I tried to make sure some of this additional information was available. Some people were like, my high limit room has $1,000 denomination slot machine, and you're telling me I should bet on that. I'm like, what? No, golden rule. Only bet what you afford to lose. I I need to be responsible and share that sort of information. Comments which from someone who is now gone for cause. Okay. Jason's a regular. There is on his ATV. I bought my first slot machine for my home today. Now, one of these state-by-state one of the things in these state-by-state articles is whether or not it's legal to privately own a slot machine. And in all cases, you don't have your friends over and have them put money into it and offer gambling. That's a big no-no. But if my neighbor bought one from a local store, happened to have one not too far away, and he just, it's a 2009 variety, so it's not, I'm not talking about the game theme, but I'm talking about the technology. So there's no central server or anything like that. It's not the big video screen. It's a little video screen and things you might see in a 2009 version. And he showed me how to program it and other things. That's, interesting, all things I expected. I'd seen some of the older variety ways of programming them. And this is the one with the voucher, and you could feed in the programming card, and then you could get the new screens, and you could put in what your different settings for the theoretical payout and blah, blah, blah. And you can make it win all the time, and you can make it never win. And I knew all that, but it was nice to see it in action. And then I had to wean myself from going over there to his garage and playing it all the time. Right. Right. And Fast's RT436. I had luck with 5-spin at 4 Winds in New Buffalo, Michigan. Yeah, I've been hearing good things about that in our Michigan Slots Enthusiast Facebook group. They're doing really. They're got a good reputation with those. Have you found if one in a chain uses teaser that all do? I haven't been tracking it that well, partly because I can't go to every casino. But I have a suspicion that you're right. One of the things I learned at Belterra Park, this 5-spin method. I saw it in action and built on it and explained it and videos and all that. So that means maybe Indiana, we're talking about Indiana, right? They have a Belterra resort. What's the odds? It's a corporate practice at one of their casinos. Now, Belterra Resort is, I don't think it's owned by Boyd yet. It might be. But Belterra Park, where I won the car, where I learned the 5-spin method, they did get bought by Boyd Gaming. But when I learned all this, it was before that. So you kind of have to look at the business arrangement, and they still owned by the same people. Now, the Strategy 7, which, if you haven't heard about it, it's come back a week later, play through the same time period in the same machine where you won a jackpot. I found that at Horseshoe. And there's a Caesars, Southern Indiana. It was Southern Indiana. Now it's Caesars and in Indiana. And then there's also Horseshoe Hammond, both owned by Caesars, which Horseshoe Cincinnati was owned by Caesars. So just trying to relate this topic back to Indiana, that's what I would maybe start with. I have some trips coming up. When I go on a trip, I don't stay for a week, so it's hard to come back. But if it's close, maybe I can. Anyway, there's a possibility, since it's a casino business plan, that the casino is doing what the corporate office wants. Let's see. And we have lots of questions here. Mart Young, I have won more than $7,500 using his 5-spin method and pay loans off. Thank you so much. You're very welcome. And would a $10 donation kill you? No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to do that. Am I kidding? I'm kidding. I have. All right. Congratulations. I'm happy for you. Let's see. Randy says, I play slots as a reservation casino in South Texas called the Lucky Eagle. Your 5-pull method has proved to work well for me there, and it's great advice. Really glad to find your channel. Yeah, it's really casino specific. The things that I'm trying, I've developed advantage plays based on common casino business practices. Not every casino will do all the common business practices casinos do, but they might do some of them. So you match them up and you look for them. And so I try to explain what to look for. I try to explain, well, before you head up to the high limit room, do this so you can, ease your way into it and reduce your risk, that sort of thing. Not to go on about that. All right. Let's see. Yeah, and that's one of the things on the 5-spin method is you don't know how much you're going to win, and hopefully you'll break even or better. And it can be pretty extraordinary sometimes. But then after like a year and a half, what happened to my local casino, Belterra Park, they reduced the $10,000 or more hand pays to $20, $50. But it took a year and a half. And I remember I was winning $500, and I have some shorts on YouTube about showing some of these plays. And I would just put my card in, and I'd win $500. I'd put my money in, make a couple of bets. Whenever I won, I stopped, moved to the next one, which was the whole point. And then I won $500, and I'm like disappointed. And I'm like, why are you disappointed? Well, last month it was 5,000. 6 months ago it was 5,000. I'm like, well, $500 is nice. And then I slapped myself across the face and said, it pays for gas money for the like next 3 months. Get over yourself. Let's see. We got 10 minutes left. I think there's more questions. Excellent. Has anyone tried the 5-pull method at Soaring Eagle? That is my next trip. I'm not going to say exactly when it is, but it will be after I launch the course, before I take a break and go out of here. And it's easy enough to check. Somebody does it beforehand, that's fine. I like people to be able to figure out how to do it themselves, because if you have a casino change, then you're up to date, and it doesn't take very long. So I don't like to tell people it doesn't work, but I'll say, well, someone told me last week that it works great at the Paris and on the Strip, but not so much on El Cortez, on downtown. And I'm like, that was last week. That's what people have told me. Anyway, oof. There's a whole lot of so AK says, I can't wait for your Michigan analysis. It is one casino, and we shall see. But I'm trying to come up with a format where I kind of record in my car, and with my thoughts having just left the casino and sharing all that. I'm trying to find a fun way to do that. I sometimes I bedroom downstairs set up as a YouTube studio, and that's where you might see the back wall with the logs and all that. Here, this is a live chat. I got to have 3 screens in front of me, and this is cats or co-hosts, but then I wanted to have a third location, which would be basically my car, and that would be when I go to different casinos. Now, I can't go to every casino. Well, if I went to 2 per week, it would take me 10 years to go to all 1,000 casinos in the United States. And that's just not going to happen. But I'm trying to touch here and there. For instance, I really need to get to that 4 Winds in South Bend in Indiana, because that's the closest Class 2 bingo style gaming machines to me. Now, I can't learn a lot from one casino having those. I need to go to 5 or 10 just to see what's different. So eventually I'm going to have to come to Oklahoma, but not right away, because that's going to be a week-long trip or something. Anyway, I've answered enough questions. I guess I'll answer one more from AK. Do you think COVID, along with online betting, has hit casinos so much that slots are tighter? We're going over the data now. We're not going over why. We're just going over the data. So what's the cause? It's very interesting. It's only speculation. Online betting is a topic that I'm starting to get into a little bit, but there's very little information. Have I told you about going to a newly opened casino because they want to build a reputation in that area and get you kind of hooked or at least educated to everybody in a 50-mile radius, that's not a cornfield anymore. Now it's a casino in southern Indiana. Online slots is like that. They're emerging in many states, and they're trying to build a reputation. Now, what do these casinos, land-based casinos, do after a month or after a year? They, cut the wins. So online betting is very relatable to online casinos. Online casinos are very related to land-based casinos. They're using some of the same business practices, and I'm starting to notice them. So I'm starting to kind of go a little bit in that area. But today, now is perhaps the time to take advantage, but don't get hooked because that's what they're aiming for. A little worried about all this. Steve says, casino talking about the reasons the casino lower the odds because of the stimulus money being sent to them. Yeah, if they can get, I don't know if they really have to do that. 8% of how much they usually make is a lot less than 8% plus of how much they usually make plus stimulus money. So, casinos make money, and sometimes they don't have to try. Right. Excellent question. Native American Dolphin says, new viewer here, but what's a good rule of thumb about picking out a machine? First of all, game theme doesn't matter to winning. You may enjoy Buffalo something or other, Wheel of Fortune something or other. I have a fondness for Wheel of Fortune, only because I've won so much on them, but it wasn't because, any Wheel of Fortune, I had found some. So I don't think, my sincere belief is game theme doesn't matter to winning, but it does matter to individuals because they like to play their favorite games. That's not about winning. So one of the things I talk about is, what's your goal? Is it entertainment? Is it comps? Is it making money? Because that's kind of how you decide what's a winning machine. Define what winning is to you. But I'm going to assume that it's making money. So it's not the game theme. Forget the game theme. Look for a casino at the entrance. Look for a slot machine at the entrance. Look for that's kind of set up to win, be seen to win. You're looking for a machine. The most common way to find a good winning machine is to look for ones that are where if someone could see you win, a lot of people can see you win. The end of a row of identical slot machines, they're not identical, just have the same game theme. At the end of the row, next to the aisle, particularly if the aisle is not an aisle, but a walkway. And particularly if like the food court's over there and it's just before lunch and people are walking towards you and can see your screen, the casino wants you to win. And so they do a little odds adjustment. And it's not on all the machines in that row. It is on the one in the end, sometimes on the second to the end. I have some videos out there about that. And we're running slowly out of time. Looks like I might have actually gotten to all the questions this time. Right. So let's take a quick look at this. So this is the differences. This is 2020 through March 2021. And you can see that the casinos were making money in January 2020, February 2020, compared to 2019. They were making more than they had made in 2019. And then they just dropped off. These 2 months when they were fully closed, either month on either side of them was partially closed. So these are their losses compared to what they made in 2019 baseline. Then this is the rest of them. This gets all a little bit, which one's better, which one's not. This one up here is, player win percent is most important, but Ameristar here is definitely making a little bit of money compared to 2019, but a lot of the rest are below. So I thought, let's take a look at this and see what the comparison was to the other states that I've done. Now, I only did this particular report for New Jersey. Well, this is the total for Indiana, and this is the total for 2 states, Indiana and New Jersey, and the orange being Indiana that we just did, and New Jersey kind of stops here. So Indiana is doing better than, uh, didn't lose as much money. I guess you could say that. I don't know if that's necessarily better. I'm not sure casinos would think so, but it's not. But they are doing not as bad as New Jersey. And I mean, these 2 months, New Jersey lost, I think it was 1.8 billion. 1.8 billion. Indiana lost 1.6 billion, almost 1.7 billion in each of those 2 months. So, if are they recovered? I don't know. I don't think so. They're definitely took a hit, right? And how are they going to recover from that? We shall see. I mean, they weren't, uh, costs were reduced by people not don't need as many people working at the casinos and other things. So there's more to it than just slots revenue, but that's what we have access to with the return statistics. Okay, I think that is about where we're at. Very quickly, for those of you who are here now, I am offering a online course, and the link is in the show notes. This is a beta course where you'll be able to get it for 50% off, but you have lifetime access. So once it's no longer beta because of all the feedback from the beta testers, eventually that'll be improved. Maybe in a month after I launch it, I'm pre-selling it now. That will become available for you, and as a non-beta version later, and you get $100 off, 50% off if you purchase it now. And so that's been going on for a few weeks, and launching is that's the countdown. That's my that's my countdown clock. I got 12 days, 14 hours to get it done. And this is the course syllabus. And if you were to expand this, you can go look for yourself. This is a bunch of the things that you can see the topics of. So 30 days, but each day has got like a lecture, I guess you would call it, some tasks, and then some resources to back some of that stuff up. And it's not meant to be hard. I think somebody said there was a way to say this. Your Aunt Trudy, your great Aunt Trudy would have no problem taking this. That's how easy it's going to be. Now, you can also go down the rabbit hole and start asking some of the very good questions that people are asking in this live chat, and that's great. AK says, "Don't forget to like. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. That is appreciated. Thank you. Don't mean to tell you that was more of a 2010 way to succeed on YouTube, but I do appreciate everybody's support." And I did not share that. I think I did not share that. Yes, so this is the site, and I will take a moment and just drop this in the live chat. So you have the link. Again, it's also in the show notes. There you are. And I will now say thanks for a great show. Have fun. Be safe. Make good choices. Bye.